Sylvester Carrington says, what about the vegetarian or vegan diet? I was hoping you would include that in the discussion. And so this was last week we did the All About Diets. So Sylvester, if you're out there, here is your show. So we asked the question then, what is a vegetarian? And by the pure definition of a vegetarian is the abstention from consuming meat, including beef, poultry, fish, and animal byproducts. However, there are different types of vegetarians. So there are vegetarians who abstain from everything or all animal products. There are vegetarians who only eat fish. There are vegetarians who only eat eggs and cheese. There are vegetarians there's the flexitarian. So let's talk about flexitarian. What does flexitarian mean? Flexitarian means that these are people who adopt a general vegetarian diet, but they allow for times when they can eat other things. It is perhaps the most liberal, the least restrictive of the vegetarian diets. And this allows for situations where you're vegetarian regularly in your life and you go somewhere, and wherever you are, you can go visit someone and they serve something that has meat, and so you consume that. So flexitarian. So the least restrictive. Lacto-ovo vegetarians are vegetarians who abstain from eating meat, poultry, and fish, right? But they allow themselves to eat dairy products. So lacto referring to the dairy and ovo referring to eggs. So there are lacto-ovo, so those people who eat both of those. There are lacto vegetarians, right, who allow themselves for dairy. There are ovo vegetarians who allow for eggs. So, and then you put those together, of course, that's lacto-ovo. Now, as we go through these diets, they are all varying degrees of this idea that I talked about, where a vegetarian is someone who abstains from animal products, okay? So in the lacto-ovo, they're abstaining from everything except they allow for eggs and dairy, right, which come from animals, but you get the idea. And for all of them, right, the varying degrees of the vegetarian diet allows for different levels of flexibility and variety. Of course, like I said, the flexitarian have the biggest variety because they can at times eat various meat products. The lacto-ovo, right, same thing, variety, not quite as much as the flexitarians, but it also allows for a balanced diet. And all of the diets, by the way, and let's make that point, as we talk about all of the benefits of each of the vegetarian diets, they all provide benefit compared to eating a continued meat diet, right? Flesh diet. So if we take someone who is on a regular, and I'm going to use that word, regular diet, where they're eating poultry and fish and meat and eggs and cheese, okay? And we put that person's health generally, so there are exceptions, up against someone who is, say, a flexitarian, where for most part they're eating plant-based, but they allow themselves to at times eat meat. Then the health typically is better for the person who is a flexitarian, okay? And that's just a general theme that you will see. Compared to a regular diet, the health, the medical conditions, the weight, you can go down the list, tends to be better for someone who is vegetarian. Okay, all right? So I'm not going to say that again, but I want that thought process to take root so that you understand. All right. So lacto-ovo, that's the lacto-ovo. These are people who allow themselves to eat eggs and dairy products. There is, of course, the pescatarian, which we've been talking about. They primarily follow a vegetarian diet, but also include fish and seafood. They exclude all the other meats like beef and pork and poultry and so forth. Okay, and flexitarian has a benefit for heart health, right? Because the omega-3 fatty acids that they have, it allows for some flexibility. So you're not limited to just quote unquote the vegetarian diet. You can add fish in there. And then after the pescatarian, there is the vegan. Now the vegan is the strictest sense of the vegetarian. When we go back to the original definition that I talked about, where they avoid all animal products, that is what a vegan is. And once again, if we take the person who is a vegan and you compare their lifestyle, their diet, their weight, right? And once again, we're not taking specific people, we're taking them as a group, then they tend to be more healthy. They have less complications in terms of chronic illness, which is what we've been talking about here on the channel. Okay? Of the vegetarian diets, it is the healthiest, presumed the healthiest, once again, because they're abstaining from the meat products, right? So the healthiest, and it has protection against obesity, hypertension, and cardiovascular mortality. Now, I want to jump down to that one there at the bottom, right? Cardiovascular mortality. The most common cause of death in the United States is heart disease. Most common cause of death in the United States is heart disease. One of the major contributors to heart disease is, well, I'm going to say the major, but three of them, right? Diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, and hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol. Those are the three. And the vegan diet has been shown to improve those three, leading to better mortality and hence improved and long life. Right? Vegan diet. Right. So of the diets, of the vegetarian diets, it is I'm going to use the word strictest, and not in a restrictive sense, but in terms of the diet and the way it's defined. What are some of the health benefits? And I've kind of talked a little bit about this. Once again, we're talking about this war for your health, right? So what are the health benefits? So reduced risk of chronic disease. Is a vegetarian diet, in terms of benefits, vegetarian diet can decrease or lower rates of heart disease. What did we say the number one killer in the United States was? Heart disease, y'all. Right? So being a vegetarian can decrease the chances of having heart disease and ultimately the chance of death. Being vegetarian can decrease high blood pressure. We decrease cholesterol, we decrease the hardening of the arteries, we decrease blood pressure, we improve mortality, we decrease death.